Hello, my friends. Today we're going to go over a question that Julie and I get all the time. Do I need my passport? Stay tuned. So, one of the questions that Julie and I get all the time is, do I really need a passport? And the answer, as it is a lot of times in travel, the answer is it depends. It depends on where you are traveling, how easy you want it to be when you travel, many different functions. So let's talk about why we feel you need to get a passport while you're traveling. So today we'll mainly be talking about the passport book and not a passport card. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. First off, the reason to have a passport is ease of travel. Having a passport, even when traveling within the United States, will make your travel at airports and ports much simpler. You've probably heard of the Real ID Act that was passed in 2005. There are some states whose driver's license will not be accepted as appropriate forms of ID even to travel within the domestic United States. I'll be doing a video later on going into more detail about the Real ID Act and what you need to know and do to make sure you have the appropriate form of ID when you travel. I'll put a link down in the description where you can find out more information about the Real ID Act and how it might affect you. Now, if you have a passport, then you don't need to worry at all. Now, if you're going to be traveling outside of the United States, a passport is needed almost 100% of the time. Now, you might be crossing a border into Mexico or to Canada by land or maybe by water, like on a ferry. Then you can use the passport card, which I talked about. But you can also use a passport book. So, you might as well get the passport book, and then you can travel wherever you want. If you're going to be flying to a foreign country, you will need a passport book. There's no getting around this. You won't even be let on the plane if you don't have your passport with you. There are even some companies that require that you put your passport information before you can even book your flights. So let's say if you're planning an Alaska cruise, leaving from Anchorage, Alaska, going down to Vancouver, British Columbia, you will need a passport. Another great reason to have a passport is just in case an amazing last-minute deal comes up on flights or cruises or whatever, and you need to leave within a few weeks. If you have your passport, that is one less thing that you need to worry about while you're getting ready for that trip. Well, if you don't have a passport, what do you need to do? Get one. Okay, that's all for me today. Happy travels. No, just kidding. Let's move on. Let's talk about how to get a passport. If you are getting your passport for the first time, congratulations. This will open up the world to you. With your first passport, or anyone who is 17 years old or younger, you will need to apply for your passport in person at a passport processing center. These can be found all over the country. You can find the closest one to you online in the State Department's website. I'll post that link below as well. Where I live, there are a couple of locations at local post offices. Some you have to make an appointment, others you can just show up. Check out before you go. So you're going to have to fill out some paperwork beforehand. You're going to need some additional information, such as you're going to need your citizenship evidence and identification. You're going to need to get a 2-inch by 2-inch passport picture. Some processing centers will take this picture for you for a fee, but it's better that you go with your picture already, just in case their camera is broken that day or not working. You're also going to be paying a passport processing fee. Just so you know, they will not accept credit cards for this payment. You'll need to either pay with check or money order. There's also going to be a separate execution fee that you will need to pay. When you make the appointment at your passport center, talk to them to see what is going to work best for you and for them for payment. On the day of your appointment, make sure you have all the information filled out and ready to go. Follow the instructions on the form and sign when you need to, and don't sign until you get there for other things. Make sure you have your payment ready. Your multiple forms of ID, make sure those are ready. Once there, it shouldn't take too long, just a few minutes to process everything. It'll probably take less than 10 minutes, but I would plan on being there at least a half an hour just in case they are running behind or need some additional information. You'll turn everything in at the passport office, and then within 4 to 6 weeks, or 2 to 3 weeks if you're getting the expedited service, your new passport will be sent to your home. If you're renewing a passport, you can do most of this via mail. The process is the same, you'll just mail everything in, and instead of going to the processing center. Here at Cruise Planners, we work with a service called CIBT Visas. They can process your passport in as little as 24 hours. Now, you're going to pay for this extra service, but in an emergency, it is available. So if you find yourself in a bind and need to get or renew your passport in an emergency, give us a call and we'll make sure that you can get in touch with CIBT Visa and that you can get the help that you need. So, now we have a passport. How long is it good for? Wow, that's a good question. Good job. If you were 16 or older when you applied for your passport, it is good for 10 years. Just think of all the places that you can go over the next 10 years. If you were 15 years or younger, your passport will be good for 5 years. So let's say if you're getting a passport for your child who's 9 years old, it'll be good until they are 14 years old. Then you'll need to renew. Their next passport will also be valid for 5 years, and then when you renew for that third time, it will be valid for 10 years. Now, here is some important information to know when you need to renew your passport. My personal rule of thumb is to start the renewal process when you have had your passport for around 9 years. Yes, I know I said they were good for 10 years, but there are some countries and almost every cruise line that require that your passport doesn't expire for at least 6 months when you start your trip. So if your passport is getting close to the end of its life, it's better to renew your passport now, and so it would be good to go when you want to travel. So, I hear the following statement all the time. My friend told me that I only need my birth certificate and my driver's license to go on a cruise. Well, this is true. Sometimes. You can cruise with the birth certificate and a driver's license. When is this, you ask? Man, you're asking great questions today. Keep it up. The only time you can use your birth certificate and driver's license is when you cruise round trip from a U.S. port. So, let's say you're doing that Alaska cruise again that's going from Anchorage to Vancouver. You're going to need a passport. Let's say you're doing a round trip cruise from Long Beach, leaving from Long Beach, California, and returning to Long Beach. You may be able to use your birth certificate and driver's license. Now, even though you can do this on a cruise, I would still suggest getting a passport. Why? Well, it's easier to renew a passport. If your passport is lost or stolen, you can let the State Department know and get a new passport fairly quickly. It's a little bit more difficult to get a birth certificate. We can't find our daughter's birth certificate right now, so we're in the process of getting a new copy. We have to get papers notarized, we have to go through a process, we've got to send things off, it's going to take a while, it's a much more difficult process. Also, it's much easier to carry a passport than a 50-year-old piece of paper. Yep, my birth certificate is old and it's fallen apart, just like me. So what am I saying is get your passport. Just get your passport. So to finish up, I want to talk a little bit about passport safety. When you're not using your passport, keep it in a fire safe at home, locked up. You don't need to carry it with you all of the time. Just have it accessible. While you're traveling, I always suggest keeping your passport on your body or in a bag close to you while you're traveling to your port on an airport. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've had my passport on me this entire video. I use a money neck passport carrier. I keep my passport right in here when I'm traveling or flying. It's available and it's ready to go. And then when I need it, it's right there. I wear this around my neck and I have it. If this is something that you want and you're one of our clients, let me know and I'll send one out to you. our gift to you. It's really convenient to have, even while on your cruise ship, just to carry your card. So it's right there to unlock your door, to charge that drink, ready to go. We'll send you one of these. Once you get on the ship, put that passport in the safe or in your room safe at a hotel. You don't always need it with you, even on a ship, 100% of the time. There are some places outside of your hotel or at a port where you may need your passport, but I'll help you figure out when you're going to need it and what you need to do at that point. So, once again, what I want you to take away from this video is that you need to get your passport now. It's simple, it's easy, just go get it done. But before you go, don't forget to click the little subscribe button below. Click the little bell that's next to it. And if you learned something today, give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Happy travels from Bill and Julia here at Cruise Planners. Why are you still here? Go. Go get your passport. Jeez.